And we are live.
Welcome back, beautiful and amazing human beings. This is Luke Radowski and Jason Bermas of WeAreChange.org here for our weekly news recap show where we give you all the important news that happened this week. That, of course, a lot of it is missed or a lot of it is not even talked about in the mainstream media, but is ultimately important and does have an effect on our lives. So, we are live. Today is October 7th, 2018. We are live on Facebook, on Periscope. The episode of this podcast will be available later on the iTunes store. And, of course, mainly we are communicating whatever you want to hear on YouTube with, of course, a priority on your super chats, which keeps us running and fully independent. Already looking in the chat room, the chat room has already been active before we got on here. There's talk of jihadi facial hair, Jason. Luke's nose did 9/11, so it's going to be definitely an interesting show as always, Jason. And before we get into it, before we get into all the news, allow us to entertain ourselves just for a little bit, because if you've been watching this show, me and Jason have been arguing, debating, to put it lightly, on many different issues. We come from different perspectives, but one of the biggest arguments we've been having is, of course, over Conor McGregor and Khabib Nurmagomedov, however you say his name, who, of course, met in the ring yesterday at the big UFC event, which was marked by controversy. And I want to continue this debate going, Jason, because politically, I see this thing as Khabib Nurmagomedov being like, in political terms, being like a Dick Cheney, and then Conor McGregor being like a Ron Paul in this entire situation. That's how I see it, but I know you see it totally different, Jason.
I mean, I don't even know how you make that analogy at all. It sounds absolutely 100%.
I can explain. Well, Khabib Nurmagomedov, he's like a Dick Cheney, Henry Kissinger type to me, because he is very closely tied into a dictator in his neighboring country. There is also a Russian oligarch in jail that was a major supporter of him, and his main manager, Ali Abdelaziz, Conor McGregor said, was caught on an airplane on September 11th with 5 passports, with him knowingly being tied to a terrorist organization and then later cooperating with federal authorities to be, as Conor called him, a snitch. So there's a lot of murky little ties there, and plus he acts kind of very thuggish. Good old humble Khabib. Everyone in the media, including yourself, you're like, he's cool, he's calm, he's collected, he's humble. He really wasn't that humble last night, Jason.
I would disagree in full with everything you've just said. You cannot disrespect. First of all, the man's name is pronounced either Khabib or Khabib Nurmagomedov. Let's respect the champion, the undefeated, undisputed champion that laid out the pummeling, the piss-pounding that I've been predicting since this fight was announced in the fashion I said he would. Made the tap dancer tap. The little tap dancing man that likes to talk the trash. He likes to throw things at buses and get glass in people's eyes. He likes to attack women. It's okay. That's all fine. No, that's all fine. Now let me say this.
Wait. Hold on. That whole incident that you're talking about, right? Mm-hmm. It was started because Khabib and his 40 thugs decided 40 thugs, yeah, there's video of them, to attack Conor's good friend and slap him. That's not a very manly thing to do. That's kind of, he started the whole darn thing. Like, he started the thuggery by literally surrounding Conor's friend and slapping him. That to me shows that, you know, that's not really manly behavior. That's not really honorable behavior, to say the least. That started this entire madness.
Oh, yeah, we're going to say he's the one that started the entire madness after he'd been ducking him for years. All I'm going to say is this. I'm not approving of any kind of wild violence that took place after these fights. I'm not going to endorse it. That's not what I'm about. You know what I'm saying? I will say that no matter how Dana White postured himself and how, you know, they punish him via the Nevada State Athletic Commission. Yes, the governor of Nevada was there. They had Mel Gibson in the audience. Star-studded event. I get it. Looks bad all around. No matter what. Hold on. Let me finish.
The governor had to be evacuated and run out of the stadium.
Yes. No matter how they spin it, how many fines they pay, all that stuff, Luke. When they have Khabib probably fight for the Super Fight 170 title in Moscow, the amount of pay-per-views and money that's going to make. I mean, Conor's pretty much done in MMA. He's a name. You know, they could make some money on the Nate Diaz rematch.
He's probably going to fight Anderson Silva after this, to be honest.
I mean, you know what? If they gave him the right amount of money, I'm sure they could make it at a catch weight at like 175.
Well, Conor already signed a contract for 2 other fights, so he is going to be fighting 2 other fights inside of the UFC. Khabib may retire, and he talked about retiring and leaving the sport after winning this victory.
Yeah, he's not going to. That's ridiculous. That was talk. He's not retiring. He's the man. He with like 5-6 more victories could.
He's not a man. He even yesterday when he did the press conference, he talked about how his dad is going to smash him. Mm-hmm. He's afraid of his dad. He's a 30-year-old man who is again.
How dare he have respect for his father, Luke? I know, unbelievable.
Let's call a spade where a spade needs to be called out. He is the dominant fighter in the UFC. He is the best fighter in the UFC. I give him that. Sure. But as a 30-year-old man, as the most dominant fighter in the world, you're talking about being afraid of your dad smashing you? That shows.
If not your father, but who?
This man didn't even give a damn when his child was born. He was like, yeah, my child was born. I don't care. I was fighting that day. I didn't need to be there. That's the type of person that we're doing. This is why I don't like Khabib, because it's like, and again, also during a press conference yesterday, he was like, I'm going to change the game so there's no trash talking. You cannot talk about my religion. You cannot do this. I'm going to change it. No, that's thuggery. That's you enforcing your will upon other people. I think trash talk is a wonderful element of this entire game. It's mind games. It's psychological. It's awesome to see. It's far just beyond brute sports, which I could understand some of the comments going on in the comment section saying this is just brutal meatheads. No, this is very psychological. And the trash talking element, which Khabib wants to change, is a huge, awesome part of it. And he's doing it with just pure thuggery, with not acting like a man, acting dishonorable, attacking people in the stands. And I just don't like him. Have you ever played Mortal Kombat, Jason?
Big fan. Played them all. Beat them all.
Okay, so yeah. I was recently on a date, and then we decided to play Mortal Kombat. In Mortal Kombat, when you do play, all right, you could just keep clicking one button if you get lucky, and the opponent that your other friend is playing can't get up, and you just keep hitting that one button on just one hit. Do you know that?
You try doing that with me, it is not going to end in your favor.
No. I was doing that with my friend, and and then obviously, Jason, I won. Was it fair? No. That's Khabib's game. That's
what?
His fight
wait.
game.
Now you're trying to say he didn't win fairly?
Grabbing on, cheating, pressing one button during Mortal Kombat. It's not entertaining. I don't like him as a person. All the other things around him are very controversial. And, yeah, I'm just disappointed that Conor lost. But, again, Khabib is the better fighter.
Yeah, hey, man, I'm sorry. Maybe I got some tissue across the way for some of those tears, my friend, because let me explain something to you. It's nothing like him hitting one button. In fact, there was one person that hit the ground from an overhand right, and it wasn't Khabib Nurmagomedov. It was Fancy Pants McGregor hitting the dust from a big old overhand right from Khabib. The idea that he has one thing in his toolbox that he was hitting one, no, my man. He has an iron jaw.
He's a hugger who grew up in a very cold household. He's a very cold human being. Mm-hmm. They put him against bears when he was a little child. Yeah. That's the kind of mindset that's being promoted onto people.
First of all, McGregor openly cheated, Luke, throughout the fight. Let me explain the rules of MMA,
He just did a little grabbing of the gloves.
But listen, he put his hands inside of Khabib's gloves, and Herb the Fix-Is-In-Dean, he ignored it every time. Nurmagomedov is pointing it out to him, going, his hands are in my gloves. Herb, old Fix-Is-In-Dean, he's like, no. He used the cage. He had his toes in the cage constantly, his fingers in the cage constantly. He still couldn't stop him. Look, again, I don't approve the aftermath.
And then call it like it is. Khabib went crazy, started attacking people in the crowds, and then his crew started sucker punching Conor McGregor.
Whoa. I mean, there's talk out there he may have thrown the first punch inside the cage.
And again, you got to say one thing about Conor. Conor does have sportsmanship, especially after he loses, especially when he lost to Diaz. He always comes very humbly and says, yeah, he was the better man. He doesn't pull any of that crazy stuff.
You, dude. All right, whatever. Listen, how about this?
He doesn't pull any crap at Khabib. We got some super chats related to this. Jesse
That's what
Schmidt.
I'm saying.
Do you want to get to them?
Yeah, exactly. I was about to say Jesse Schmidt, who has been a part of this conversation. And thank you for the super chats. And guys, if you're piling in right now on the live stream, I want to assure you we are going to get to real news. We couldn't not cover this. We've been talking about it forever. It's all over the pages. So let's just go down the line here with Jesse's chats. Jason, when bans Khabib from America, will you renounce your love of government? Just kidding. Congrats on the prediction. Khabib is a douche. Let me say this. There's a good chance he'll never fight in the U.S. again. You know what I mean?
But you pull stupid stunts.
Yeah? But here's the double standard. The Ruski won't get back in because there's a lot of propaganda against Russia. Connor's making claims about 9/11.
Well, it's not Russia. It's Dagestan, and again, the country that he is connected to that openly tortures and kills gays. That he has a very close relationship to the dictator of that country.
Wow, we're pulling that social justice card, bro. Like listen.
It happens.
I'm not saying that. Listen, I'm not encouraging the man's culture. I get it. He got a call from Putin.
Khabib is Dick Cheney. Ron Paul is Conor McGregor is Ron Paul.
You're out of your mind. Would Ron Paul or Rand Paul throw something at a bus of innocent people? So here's my point.
Articulate. Ron Paul is just as articulate as Conor is.
Listen,
especially in
McGregor barely got a misdemeanor for his stunt. And if they ban Khabib, which they might, he'll just fight in Russia or Europe or Japan or wherever and continue to beat people up until he wants to retire as the greatest 155 or possibly 170 pounder, because I think he's going to go up after this, of all time. Jesse, your next question.
I want to see a rematch so bad. I want to see a rematch between Conor. It's not going to happen. You're right. Khabib's probably going to fight for a second title. Conor's going to fight probably Anderson Silva or Diaz. And then after that, maybe after the two fights that Conor's contracted to have again to prove himself, maybe again that would be another rematch in the future, but that would be at 2 to 3 years down the line, and I think it will happen. And I think again, I'm predicting Conor's winning the rematch. I
want to see Khabib and Tony Ferguson. Tony Ferguson, an amazing fight. He's a top level guy. He deserves to be in there.
Fighter, so entertaining as well, and also just another person that I really appreciate his mental game and his kind of approach to it. But I gotta admit, as I saw Conor walking into the ring and doing the announcement of his name, I knew he was going to lose. I already saw it in his face. He always has this either extreme confidence and this pure belief, this mental belief that yes, this is going to happen. But you could see a lot of doubt in his face. He was like, he wasn't as sure of himself as he was in other fights. And when he walked in the ring, I'm like, oh no, Jason's going to be right on this one, and Khabib's going to win this one. I saw it in his face, and that this is what I like about the sports game, because it's not just sports ball, put a ball in a hoop. It's extremely mental. Conor's predictions before that he made in other fights were extremely on point. He has been correct and has talked about the positive effect of visualization, the positive effects of mental warfare, and a lot of the hippy-dippy stuff that I get into. If you look at all pro people, whether it's Michael Jordan or any other people on the top of the game, they use mental visualization and the hippie stuff, the hippy-dippy stuff, in order to propel them to where they are. And Conor is one of them, and I saw that doubt yesterday, and I was like, damn, he's going to lose. And he did. And I wasn't surprised there. And Khabib was the better fighter, even though he was using the Mortal Kombat cheat, just pressing that one button.
There's no Mortal Kombat cheat, bro. And let me get to the next super chat, because it gets in on this right here. He says Khabib was triggered, this is Jesse again, because Daniel Cormier told him to stop stealing his lay and hump strategy. It's like the movie Highlander. There can only be one king of the lay and hump. And your Mortal Kombat analogy, of course, is the lay and hump strategy, right? That's what you're saying?
That's what they do. That's what Cormier does. That's what Khabib does. And I don't like Cormier just like I don't like Khabib, because it's boring fights and it's not entertaining.
Yeah, it's so boring when Khabib throws a right hand and knocks Conor across the cage, or when Daniel Cormier throws a right haymaker and knocks out Stipe Miocic. Listen, guys, stay off the sauce. I don't know what you're watching, but I'm watching mixed martial arts greatness. And speaking of mixed martial arts greatness, we have one more super chat, and we may be moving on after this. This one's from Avataz. Happy Sunday. Thank you, Avataz. Always part of the conversation as well. Derrick Lewis knocked out the Ruski, that's Volkov, a.k.a. Drago, for Trump, #MAGA. What a fight that was. Listen, guys, if you didn't pay for this, and you're considering you want to watch it legally, this card was actually really amazing. And this Volkov-Derrick Lewis fight was awesome.
Yeah, it definitely was. The whole card was just tremendous. It was awesome to see the fights that were produced last night, and a very emotional night for a lot of people. And it definitely broke out into that in just pure utter chaos that, of course, everyone's talking about. And I admit you were right on your prediction. I was wrong, and I knew it. I was wrong as soon as I saw Conor's face. We got one more super chat also by Jesse. Thank you so much, Jesse, for all the support and joining in on the conversation here. He says, we can all agree Derrick, my balls was hot Lewis, is the greatest American of 2018. His post-fight commentary was almost as entertaining than his last 10-second knockout that he committed.
After almost being knocked out like 3 times.
Yeah, he was talking about Trump calling him, saying that he needs to knock out this Ruski to make America great again. He was talking about smoking weed with Joe Rogan afterwards. Entertaining guy to say the least.
And his balls were so hot, Luke, that he actually pulled his UFC shorts off in the middle of the ring while he was doing the interview and was just in his boxer briefs.
Yeah, people are saying Medal of Honor for Derrick Lewis. Yeah, entertaining night nonetheless. Obviously, I'm disappointed. Obviously, you're right. Luckily, we didn't take any bets. We were talking about taking bets and doing some stuff, but luckily that never happened. But I would have probably called off the bet as soon as I saw Conor's face. I was like,
I would have ignored my phone. You've been like, dude, come on, no.
I would have changed the stakes if there was a bet. But entertaining night, to say the least. Anything else you want to say?
No, I guess, we just got to, again, make the point that Khabib did do the presser afterwards. 3 of his teammates were arrested. Conor did not press charges.
Conor did the right thing. No. They were arrested temporarily, and then Conor dropped the charges.
I said it, Luke. Yeah.
He did the right thing. And then Khabib talked about how he's afraid of his father. That's not a healthy relationship. A kid shouldn't be grown up fighting bears and be 30 years old, the top fighter of his time, and be afraid of his father. That is not the right thing to promote and push out there to the people. I'm sorry. I don't like him at all. Bad human being, and he's an a-hole for what he did last night. That's my point of view. That's what I have to say. Last comments on this, Jason?
Yeah, again, Putin called him. So look for a big fight out in Russia. I'm really looking forward to it. I think he's a top-level fighter. I can't wait to see what happens in the future. And people love a shiz talker. So, unfortunately, Conor McGregor will still draw the numbers, and the UFC will spin all of this violence to make more money. That's what I think.
Yeah, there's going to be more shenanigans. I think the third fight is definitely going to be the rematch fight, and I'm calling Conor being the winner. It is also interesting to see Vladimir Putin, the president of Russia, after this entire crazy incident, call Khabib and say that he was proud of him out of everything that happened. So yeah, people are being in the chat rooms. I don't know what you guys are on about. A lot of heated comments going on in there. Again, calling it in the third fight that's going to happen in the rematch. Conor's winning. That's my own just personal point of view. Should we move on?
Yes, let's move on to the very first story here, Luke. Saudis moved to behead female activist as Facebook.
Well, no. That's not the first story. That's the story that's going to go along with your report on Facebook with Tucker Carlson and the censorship. Let's bring that up then. So just move that article a little bit forward. But starting off this broadcast, the seriousness of this broadcast. Okay, we got one more super chat asking a question about this related topic. So let's just go into that really quickly. Sonnen versus Fedor. Of course, Sonnen. I love Chael Sonnen. Great, amazing fighter.
Luke, let's go.
Amazing mental warfare. And he's taken down that Ruski Fedor. Fedor's a great fighter anyway. I do like Fedor too, but I really love Chael Sonnen and the huge fights that he had with Anderson Silva. And I think he's a really great fighter.
So let's go. It's in Uniondale. It's easy for you. I'll just get to drive down. It's Saturday night. I was thinking about going anyway. They got back-to-back Bellator. It's in Connecticut on Friday. And then, yes, Fedor versus Sonnen, the Russian versus the American gangster, Luke, is over in Strong Island, New York. So I'm just saying, buddy, we could hug it out.
Are you Sonnen? Are you on Team Chael Sonnen or Team Fedor?
I got to tell you, I'm looking forward to the fight. I don't know, man. They're both pretty old. Fedor even getting past the first round was kind of surprising to me. I'd love to see the Fedor train be back and him take out Sonnen. But at the same time, Sonnen beat Rampage. Rampage and Vandalay just fought. Look, This is a fun tournament. It's a fun fight. Everybody wins, Luke. Everybody wins.
Yeah. I still like Chael Sonnen a little bit more. All right, moving forward with the actual serious news, and we're going to get pretty serious here. One thing that I wanted to specifically talk to everyone about is, of course, the likelihood of... This is so weird, going from MMA to this topic now. This is like such a weird transition, Jason. The thing that I wanted to talk about is, of course, conflict and war. It's an issue that the left and right agree upon and push for. It's an issue that being against is becoming less and less popular, but it's an issue that we've been covering here very closely. We're one of the few outlets that still is remaining to be anti-war and to cover the larger geopolitical pictures of what's really happening around this world, which I think is extremely critical. So if you look at human history, over the past 3,400 years, the world only has been at peace for 8% of recorded history. 8%. It is our history, which is plagued with war, with famine, with plagues, and it's an issue that does need to be addressed, especially with the rising tensions that are happening between the United States and, of course, China. Those are, of course, just two basic parts here, connected to, of course, larger parts. Because if we look at the greater geopolitical picture, it's not just the United States. It's the United States with NATO, with Saudi Arabia and Israel, mainly facing off against other nations like China, Russia, Iran, and Syria. Already, there's a number of proxy wars happening, and it does need to be stated here, what we have been seeing here are larger escalations, which we have correctly called out just a few months ago. And these escalations, I believe, are only going to keep increasing as we see very, very strong moves recently made by the Iranians, where they launched a missile strike near U.S. troops inside of Syria, which, of course, sent a very strong signal to Washington, but interestingly enough, has not garnered much of a reaction from a lot of the big DC think tanks and the Pentagon, or even the mainstream media. But this was a very bold, strong move by Iran that has rattled the cage of a lot of Pentagon military industrial complex people. And it's something that we should address here because, again, this has sent a shockwave even to me that Iran would do this. And the reaction being mum by Washington also tells me a lot about this entire incident. Now, of course, this is also met with the news of Russia recently reinforcing Syria's missile air defense systems with S-300 missile systems, which, again, very, very much put Israel and the United States on the back end here in defense of all of this. You had something to say, Jason?
No, continue.
I heard something. It doesn't matter. But again, what just happened, even just 3 weeks ago, we saw Israel, which Russia holds responsible for downing one of their airplanes, which killed Russian servicemen. And of course, on September 17th, Russia says that Israeli pilots were intentionally using a Russian airplane as cover to conduct their air raids. Because of this, the Russian airplane was shot down, and now the Russians are responding by pretty much giving Syria defense missile systems that will make it very difficult, if not nearly impossible, for Israel to continue to attack Syria. And Israel has been attacking Syria many times, over 200 times within the last few years, obviously attacking their regime forces that are battling against the rebels and radical Islamic terrorists, which are, of course, supported by Israel, Saudi Arabia, and the United States. And, of course, Russia has also announced that they're going to be using electromagnetic jamming systems in order to make sure that these Israeli attacks won't persist. Israel responded saying that they're not concerned with this and that it won't even stop their operations against the Syrian regime. So this leads to a very interesting segue that we're going to see unfold within the next few days, if not the next few weeks, in the key prime time where we see a lot of these military global events escalate. And that's around the time of October and November. And this is a really time to keep a close eye on all of this, because we are very close to a bigger conflict. And already there's a proxy war in Yemen. There's a proxy war in Syria. These proxy wars are between these global powers that we talked about before. And these global powers are not shy of using major military devastating equipment like nukes and the atomic weapon. As we see from a recent declassified cable that just came out, that top military commanders in the United States actively had a plan to nuke Vietnam in 1968. That's how close we came from another nuclear annihilation of an entire population of people. Russia, it does not have the same military capabilities as the United States, but Russia does have more nuclear weapons, and it is pretty much their trump card in this entire scenario of the world leaders bunting heads against each other. And China is a major component to that as well. If you look at the greater geopolitical picture, the United States dominates the entire world with its military. It's pretty much their main significant use, their main significant power that they have in this world, and that's why the United States is the world's dominant power. China is slowly challenging that, but still, China's military is not as developed as the United States. But if China and Russia get along together with their mutual enemy, the United States, then there's actually something very serious to consider here. And as we have seen, China and Russia, their relationship has been growing within the past few years, as we see these proxy wars escalate and the United States trying to take out the allies and the other countries that are supporting Russia and China and going against the U.S. petrodollar, which is a major component to this that a lot of people forget. But the only reason the U.S. dollar is valued as high as it is because the world is trading in U.S. dollars. As soon as the world stops trading in U.S. dollars, the value of it goes dramatically down. Countries that have challenged it have been occupied, have been bombed, have been taken over. Their leaders have been overthrown, like in Libya, like we saw in Iraq, like we saw even Afghanistan making similar moves against, of course, the U.S. petrodollar. And this is all, of course, target. Iran has been making very strong moves against the U.S. petrodollar. So has Russia, and so has China. And this brings me to a very interesting story that I wanted to talk to you about, Jason, is, of course, this latest story of the supposed spy chip infiltration by the Chinese intelligence community that supposedly infiltrated Apple, Amazon, Homeland Security, and even the CIA. Now, Bloomberg released this article citing that this was a small spy chip that was distributed all throughout the United States, and they cited 17 unidentified intelligence officers in this initial report, saying that the Chinese intelligence community was successfully able to intercept very important information, including even to the information of how the CIA uses their drones in their deposition matrix program, which they extrajudicially assassinate people all around the world. Very key information. And now on the other side, Jason, we are seeing Homeland Security, Apple, and Amazon deny that any of this happened. What do you think is the true scenario here, Jason?
Well, I got to tell you, I am skeptical. I'm not trying to take the side of Homeland Security here, but if you read the article, there was a lot of different things. Now, first of all, in my hand here is a Huawei phone, and they become a huge competitor with Samsung. Remember, Samsung, not Chinese, it's Korean. We have much better trade relations with Korea than we do with China. Amazon, Apple, all these companies are saying it's impossible. Now, they talked about the possibility. First of all, this chip is extremely small. They showed no examples where it was actually put on boards. So again, I'm remaining pretty skeptical. And if they had said, hey, here's a full shipment, and they had pulled a car over and they had that kind of, or a truck or a shipment, that would be pretty convincing. They're saying that they got this done on the factory floor level. In other words, they were infiltrating Chinese spies who were putting this in the actual machine process. In other words, while they were bringing these baseboards to other companies that were adding different features to them and then bringing them out, they were actually putting them on. For no one to notice for that long amount of time, they said oftentimes hidden in the RAM, is also very hard for me to believe. Not impossible. You know, spy stuff does happen. Hardware hacks, as they note in the article, are something they're not as, you know, hardcore on the lookout for. But, you know, for me, a company like Huawei, I think that they have more of an interest in making money and be competitive in that market, Luke, than doing spy work for the Chinese government.
Money is a huge component to this, especially with the trade wars that are going back and forth between China and the United States right now, which are also heating up. But looking at this report critically, I don't see Bloomberg as bad of a news organization as the other ones who are out there. They don't usually promote as much fake news. I don't see any reason for Bloomberg to lie about this. It could be that the 17 unidentified intelligence officers, they could be possibly not telling the truth in this entire scenario in order to build up more kind of propaganda against China, which is also possible. But at the same time, let's question things from all perspectives, because Homeland Security, Apple, Amazon, the CIA, they don't have the best track record of being honest. And this is very embarrassing of them. And it wouldn't surprise me if they are backtracking on this and denying this in order to deal with this in a way where they could actually save face and actually deal with some of the larger repercussions of this larger Chinese infiltration. That's also one possibility. But again, the threat of the Chinese can't be understated here, because they are continually expanding, especially not only with their military, but also with their bigger political ideologies. And they have plans not only for the South Chinese Sea military bases, but they plan on expanding those all throughout the Pacific Ocean. And already we are seeing the Australian military, the Japanese military, the Korean military, all bolster up their forces in preparation towards the bigger expansion of China, similar to the expansion that happened with the United States in the early 1900s. This is the phase that China is in now, especially as a country, as they're developing. And even there's a former Fed governor that warns that there's going to be several decades of Cold War with China. This is all heading into that same trajectory, mainly because China is a new emerging power, and it looks like it wants to be the dominating power. The United States is the current dominating power, and historically, whenever you have a rising power challenging the hegemony of one power, there always is conflict before that. So this is a serious issue that I'm taking very seriously, unlike a lot of other people, because the repercussions of this are huge. And China has been very aggressive, not only with their military expansion, but also bigger political moves. Like we just saw the head of Interpol being arrested in China after he was investigating, of course, Chinese people and Chinese government officials. He was detained by Chinese disciplinary authorities, and his whereabouts are still unknown about this big situation that's unfolding. So again, China does not look like they're backing down. There does seem, whether in the next few years or even in the next few decades, that confrontation between the United States and China is inevitable. We're seeing the signs right now of their military expansion, of the larger trade talks, and this is an issue that I would keep a close eye on, which of course we're going to be doing here on this YouTube channel.
Well, Luke, I would say this. The possibility, for instance, that this hack, right, if it indeed happened, can you imagine the amount of consumer goods right now that are out there that would have to be recalled? The lawsuits would be off the chain. On the other level of that, first of all, there wouldn't be an amount of recalls. I mean, we'd be talking about hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of consumer devices across the board everywhere. Now, on the flip of that, if they could prove that, forget about the embarrassment, it would be next level trade war, and there would be all sorts of sanctions against China. So to me, there is, you know.
But you have to understand, if there is a bigger trade war and a bigger economic war, especially against the petrodollar, if China goes down, the United States goes down. Their economies are so tied in together that, again, it's an extremely fragile situation. And one devastating impact on one market will have an effect on the other market. So they're correlated here. So this could also be the United States, Homeland Security, Apple, Amazon saving face, so they don't have to deal with the larger implications of what could be a very large possible Chinese hack that occurred.
Yeah, again, I think it's one of those things where they could be agreeing to just keep this hush-hush on both sides, you know, if it's true. I don't know, man. It's a tough one for me to call. Because here's the other thing.
It is a tough one. We entertained all the different ideas here. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section. I'm still seeing a lot of talk about Conor and Khabib. We just got another super chat that we're going to get into in just a little bit. But all the possibilities were entertained here. And my whole assessment is that this definitely needs more eyes, especially with the growing tensions between these two world powers that are questioning each other's hegemony.
I just think with the article too, Luke, we have to look at the fact that somebody out there, especially in the tech industry, would have been on YouTube now taking one of these boards apart and saying, here it is, I've got the spy chip, and we haven't seen that. You know what I'm saying? Think about what world we live in. And there's enough information out there. The company out in California that was producing this stuff, they're saying high grade level servers is where this was taking place, but someone would have done it. So I'm remaining skeptical on all fronts here. That's all I want to say in closing.
Or it could be just rogue elements of the intelligence community, the 17 sources that Bloomberg used, trying to justify this as a bigger push against China. That could also be just rogue elements of that. That could also be one of the possibilities that we could entertain here.
All right, are we reading this super chat?
Yeah, I'm looking at the talks in the comment section. People are saying I'm taking the social justice warrior stance on this issue. No, it's not a social justice warrior stance on Khabib versus Conor. It's the right issue of talking about all of the things that are happening surrounding this. How is anything I said social justice warrior-esque? I don't understand at all. And the next super chat by Gold and Oil says, how do you say that, Jason? You know, since you're a big fan of
I know. Am I undercover Arabic Muslim? Is that what you're trying to say? I'm going to do my best here because this man knows what he's talking about. Alamandalaha! Khabib destroyed Conor McNugget. Yes, sir. He certainly did. Thank you, Golden Oil, for that. And remember, guys, you can hit the subscribe button for only $4.99 a month. Helps Luke and myself rant and rave about Khabib and Conor while, giving you news you're probably not hearing anywhere else.
Abdullah means it's an Arabic expression of relief, meaning praise be to Allah. That's just clarifying. I just Googled it. I had no idea what Abdullah meant. But again, very divisive topic. I'm still on Team Conor. He put up a hell of a fight. He was a good fighter. He lost. Khabib was the better fighter. I admit it. Jesse, another super chat by Jesse. He says, I sent you guys some money on your website to pay for Bellator tickets. Oh, wow, Jesse. Thank you so much. Really, really appreciate that from the bottom of our hearts. Definitely going to check in on that later. That sounds pretty cool, Jason.
That would be amazing because you know what? That Bellator card. Have you ever been to an MMA event at all, Luke? You ever been to any of these?
Local MMA fights.
Yeah, I mean, that's fun, but these are always really good. Bellator does a great job. ESPN usually comes out. I remember the last one I was at, Rob Dibble was out there giving his cast. It's just a good atmosphere. It's not that expensive to go. Every seat in the house is good. You interact with the fighters. I don't know. I have a great time. Me and my brother do. It's kind of a family thing. MMA brings people together, Luke. That's all I'm saying. And this Fedor Chael Sonnen fight has the ability to bring Russia and America together again for combat sports and not some made-up trial.
Yeah, a lot of made-up trials. All right, let's get back into the news because we have articles from Monday all the way to Sunday with a selected article from every day of the week. So let's get into Monday's article.
Yeah, let's do it. One of the founders of the World Wide Web is basically saying, you know what? Enough is enough. These hyper technology companies that now control everything need to be stopped, and we need to create our own decentralized internet. Now, this kind of reminds me, Luke, of have you watched, what is the show, Silicon Valley at all?
Nope.
So the main theme of Silicon Valley is, it's Mike Judge, Beavis and Butthead, Office Space, King of the Hill. So it's got its dry humor, but it's very smart. And it's basically this young programmer whose dream is to build a new decentralized internet. And essentially this is what this guy's talking about. Let's forget about all these algorithms of control, that we're going to bring up in a story shortly, and start taking back the World Wide Web and information. I think it's brilliant.
Yeah, I mean, there's already the dark web and all these other things. Like, did he go into any practical plans on how to actually do this?
Yeah, basically he's trying to do a lot like the Silicon Valley show, where we're all kind of sharing server space. It is decentralized. This is one of the guys that engineered this in the late 80s. So just the fact that he's giving these warnings out that we have now been censored greatly on the world, the regular internet, is astounding. And he has the technological coding ability to possibly bring about something that's not just a Tor-based internet.
Yeah, I see the article right now, and he's talking about how Facebook and Google now have direct influence over nearly 3/4 of all internet traffic. I mean, I wasn't even aware of that fact, but that is staggering. And with companies like Amazon eating up the entire online shopping market, it's definitely something that is becoming a key issue of our time, with the free flow of information, of course, being staggered and controlled, monetized, and also at the same time used against us by stealing our privacy, selling it to the highest bidder, or even just hackers who use it against us. So the internet, even though it's an amazing, beautiful tool that allows us to communicate with us, it's something that's getting more and more destroyed by the central controllers who have more influence over it. And we have seen that. We have seen that face first. We have seen that because it affected us. We've been saying that there's going to be major internet censorship of ideas all the way back 10 years ago in 2008. You look at our channel, 2008, we were warning you, telling you, soon these messages will be filtered, will be censored, and they are, especially with the algorithms, especially with the demonetizations, especially with essentially Twitter, Facebook, YouTube now deciding what people should see, what ideas should be promoted, what people should be promoted, and of course all of them help their bottom line with either a political agenda or a monetary agenda that is used against us for the very benefit of them. So that does need to be addressed, and decentralization is key here. One of the camps that I was with was at Burning Man recently, was called Camp Decentral, and it was just a whole bunch of online cryptocurrency people and tech people who are working on decentralizing all aspects of society. And to me, decentralization is the key aspect that will save and propel humanity to the next better level. Centralization, government, Jason, top-down control, that's something to avoid. Jason's a big proponent of government, so we disagree on that point as well.
Well, I'm not a big proponent of government, Luke, as you just said.
We do have our disagreements. We always have debates and arguments. I'm always against less government, no government. You're always like, no, we need some government. To be fair, clarifying. So,
listen, again, I don't want to get into the libertarian versus anarchist argument here, but I do want to say that this guy's company is named Inrupt. He is a MIT professor. He's taking a sabbatical. He's really looking to build this infrastructure, and I think that we have to really, once again, get behind people that are not only making these warnings, but are godfathers of the infrastructure of the very internet we're using right now, and get behind them. Because yes, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, WhatsApp, all these things are constantly collecting data on us, Luke. And something we didn't include in this week was that incredible interview with Tim Cook, where he tried to play the good guy at Apple and say, when he even warned you, when companies are telling you that they're taking all of your information to make their products better, they're lying to you. And he was insinuating Facebook and Google.
Interview. That was a creepy interview with Tim Cook. It was just astonishing seeing him just say so many duplicitous things at once that it just boggled my mind on how Vice News should have pressured him and cornered him a little bit more. The reporter tried, but I don't think she did a very effective job. Obviously, she wanted to keep her job and not to offend one of the most powerful people in the world, Tim Cook. Also, are we hiding people in our chat room? Or,
I mean, I was getting rid of some of the destructive comments because I saw some other people saying I'm about to leave and this is not my kind of chat, and it wasn't really any kind of base.
No, just leave them. Let's not block anybody. Leave them.
All right.
I like the crazy comments that are in here. They're interesting. I definitely disagree with a lot of them, but let's definitely leave all the comments that we can on here. We got another comment by Avitas, who is one of our subscribers. He says, without some form of government, you get the Walking Dead type of societies run by warlords like Negan. That's the comment by Avatas, who is one of our subscribers, and you can subscribe to our channel for $5 a month. We're going to be doing a lot more work with our subscribers, with our Patreon members, with our supporters very near in the future. So stay tuned for a lot of important developments. Avatas, I know Jason Burmis would agree with you. I kind of disagree with you, knowing some of the things that I know and some of the things I've seen, but we could agree to disagree on this issue. Do you have anything else to say, or do you want to go over to Tuesday?
Now, let's get into Tuesday because, with all the Kavanaugh, and we have to believe every woman in the world. Now, yeah, and this is what drives me nuts, Luke. I don't like Kavanaugh. I'm not trying to get Kavanagh right now. I'm not trying to, promote anything ridiculous here. But women, all you ladies that are watching, you're just a person like I am. You tell the truth and you lie just like every other person on the planet. You believe people because of substance, because of evidence, not because of their sex, Luke. I think that's absolutely ridiculous. And case in point, this story right here, a woman charged, I believe they were dentists, okay, and said that she was being sexually assaulted by these guys. I think 3 of them are related, and it was one of their friends. I remember when this story came out, I think I even tweeted out when they initially, because this is a prominent office, these dentists, they're making money. Turns out it was all made up. Cell phone video exonerated all of them. This woman made a false charge because of, some relationship she had with one of them, and she wanted to get revenge, and she thought that this would be a good avenue. I think people have to understand, Luke, that people are devious, they lie, and they do things for different reasons. And sometimes, yes, they have agendas.
Yeah, and that's a very important topic. That is common sense, but a lot of people have let common sense out the freaking door and not talking about these major issues. I saw Cynthia McKinney tweet, which was very interesting about this entire Kavanagh subject that was obviously the center point of our entire political discourse for the last 2 weeks. And she tweeted how many people, especially in the South, were hanged because of fake rape allegations, responding to, of course, people saying that you should believe all survivors. I mean, you should believe people when they have evidence, when you can actually prove something. And we have to understand here, all sides of the spectrum here, there's liars. No matter what gender you are, no matter what race you are, there's bad people in all aspects of our humanity. And we need to understand that the only principles that will guide us further is due process, which is an important aspect that does need to be talked about, that does need to be inherited and promoted, because some people don't even want that as a major aspect of it. We got another super chat by, wait, where's the super chat at? By Jesse Schmidt saying, not liking Kavanagh, ? You have become Jason, not so big government Burmis. At this rate, you will be an anarchist by Christmas.
That's ridiculous. Let's just stop you right here. It's not like I've ever promoted people that were against the Fourth Amendment, Luke. I've never promoted anybody in the Bush. I never said, you know what? He's a buddy of Cheney, Karl Rove, and George. Get him in! Old man Bush was tweeting. Old man Bush, who can barely speak at this point and probably has to be fed porridge on a daily basis, tweeted out his support of Kavanaugh when he got in on Saturday. Now, that being said, somebody like Mark Dice, who I really do like, and I value some of his opinions, he was having a champagne liberal tears party when Kavanaugh got in there. Yeah, I don't know if that's the same Mark Dice that wrote, Big Brother, because Kavanaugh is a Big Brother dude. So all I can say is I can't.
And that really doesn't help the discourse. That really does not help the discourse or propel our human civilization forward, especially trying to make fun of other people's kind of misery. We really need to be more compassionate as human beings and more empathetic. I don't know if you know this, Jason, but our empathy's level, especially in Western countries, especially in the United States, are on the record low than they ever have been.
I totally believe that. We're so desensitized, and we're, Luke, almost trained to think it's cool to make fun of everybody and to be catty, and I want to act like a Kardashian, and I want to be a mean girl, and I grew up watching the Bratz on television. They didn't watch Mr. Rogers' Friend. They grew up wrong. Yeah. Repent!
Avatas, one of our subscribers, also left something in the comment section saying that the hashtag MeToo is just modern-day Salem witch trials. Next people gonna get burned at the stake. Now, again, it's a very perplexing situation that has obviously divided people further away, either being super left or super right. When again, in reality, the truth is always somewhere in the middle. It's not always just black and white, and we need to understand that, because there are victims of sexual abuse that do deserve justice, and there's also liars who lie about this to attack people in very vicious, horrible ways. Again, due process, following, looking at evidence, and all the people who do a disservice, like this lady that we talked about, that accused these 4 dentists of raping her that didn't, the people who were accusing people of having major druggings with Kavanugh there and major rapes that happened there. All these people need to be held accountable for lying for political purposes to end this, because they not only do a huge disservice not only to the people that they're attacking, but also to the side that supports them and pushes them, because this is why other people don't get taken seriously. And these people need to be held accountable more than ever. Should we move on, or else there's anything else you want to say?
No, I just think that's true. It really it jeopardizes real stories, because people aren't as apt to believe when there are people like this woman who are going around basically getting criminal charges filed against men that may never get their reputations back, and that's a huge problem. But Luke, going back to the censorship issue we were just talking about, the web censorship, I think it's a big story that nobody's talking about. And kind of now the time of banning Alex Jones is past, so it's almost like faux who cares. Well, this is more than Alex Jones. Internal Google emails were revealed on Tucker Carlson to, yes, stop searches. InfoWars was in there. Alex Jones was in there. Tucker was in there. Hillary was in there. And we haven't seen the emails, Luke, so we don't know what else was suppressed. But we've been talking about this for quite some time, and this shows they targeted the alternative media as fake news before the election. And after they lost the election, well, baby, the sky's the limit, because me and you are not allowed to have a voice.
Yeah, of course, because it even came out in internal memos that they were talking about, we could alter the election. Google employees just openly talking about it. And they're not shy about their bias. Obviously, a lot of the big tech people, they have a big political bias towards the Democratic establishment. That's why we saw Eric Schmidt be a major part of Hillary Clinton's campaign. Eric Schmidt, again, former CEO of Google, current head of Alphabet, the organization that is now working with the Pentagon and the military-industrial complex on weaponizing information and the digital day and age. This is something truly to worry about, because if you're running a large institution like Google and Facebook, which again control 3/4 of the free flow of information online, and there's even been recent scientific studies saying that Google can manipulate the outcome of local elections with just how they change their search algorithms. And obviously, they could very easily mess with them. I don't see why they wouldn't, since already there's been so much manipulation that they have been caught red-handed with. And this brings me to the next story that I wanted to highlight. This one is by Mint Press News, and the article is headlined, Saudis move to behead female activist as Facebook censors anti-Saudi content. If you look at Saudi Arabia, they were very intelligent, but also very, in a very bad way, to promote and to influence a lot of social media with their investments. If you look at Twitter, Saudi Arabia has a major stake in Twitter. If you look at what's happening now, we are seeing a very crucial time happening in Saudi Arabia where they're about to behead a female activist for simply protesting. They cracked down, and now Saudi prosecutors are seeking the death penalty for 5 activists for non-violent charges. All of the activists, of course, belong to the Shia minority inside of Saudi Arabia. One of them is a woman that they want to behead. And at the same time that this major case, this major human rights case that no one is hearing about, obviously because Saudi Arabia has big money in all the big tech institutions and online, as this is happening, Facebook at the same time began removing anti-Saudi accounts under the guise of supposedly fighting Iranian interference. And it was done all with a private security firm with, of course, ties to the U.S. military that tipped off Facebook to these accounts. So this does not surprise us. We're probably on that list because we talk about Saudi Arabia, we talk about Israel in ways that no one else talks about online, because a lot of people in social media, especially the larger pundits, know you talk about Saudi Arabia, you talk about Israel, you talk about their governments, you're on the chopping block. And we have been on the chopping block, and we have been devastated by the sheer amount of censorship, bullcrap, and hooey that gets thrown at us by these larger tech institutions, which of course we attack head on, fearlessly, but also pretty idiotically, because we're ultimately just destroying our platform and our viewership at the same time that's happening. So that's the situation, Jason. That's what's happening. Sorry. Yeah, that's my take on it.
No, I'm with you, man. Again, it's very disturbing to see, again, Saudi Arabia is a brutal regime. We were talking about how they dismembered a man at one of their consulates. And the fact that we allow not only ourselves to do business with them, but promote them during wars such as the Yemen war that most people don't even know what's going on in this country. Yemen, they have no... Yemen, what's that? Is that a new Chinese or Thai fad? Can I get that with noodles? Yemen? They have no clue. And they're a huge military power. They facilitated the hijackers through their country and our CIA consulate bases. We use them in our foreign policy as well, and they're dangerous. They have dangerous views. And everybody wants to talk about women's rights and LGBTQI, X, Y, and Z. Well, how about just women? Women being forced into a religion, into a society. Listen, I'm all for freedom of religion.
Yeah, there's such a gross double standard with Hillary Clinton pretty much being tied in with Saudi Arabia, hanging around people like Jay-Z, whose rap lyrics are all about dehumanizing women and using them as these kind of just most disgusting possible ways. And then Hillary Clinton, Jay-Z, all of them, they're like, oh, yeah, we're the face of the MeToo movement. Look at what you're promoting. Look who you're exactly tied in, because literally gay people get thrown off roofs in Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia is a big major proponent in social media now, and they're the ones censoring people for supposedly being not along with the LGBTQ programming that they're obviously pushing and promoting it on the side of. The hypocrisy is layered so heavily here, and I wish people would understand this, because again, like all these social justice warriors who are being again pushed and promoted by the big tech monopolies, the big tech monopolies buying all of this stuff, at the same time take money from Saudi Arabia, which frickin' does the executions of people for just being gay. Need to understand that, and they censor people who bring this up and who legitimately go after them in independent media, and make sure that less and less people see this very important content. So again, you guys are more important than ever in this information conflict that we're in. Because again, if it wasn't for you guys going to our channel, subscribing, hitting the notification button, even then people don't get the videos. If it wasn't for you guys physically going to our website, we still wouldn't be here. And our numbers have gone dramatically down for absolutely ridiculous reasons. YouTube has even contacted a third company that we had a contract with and told them to end our contract. And that company did, because YouTube was more powerful. And that's just one thing out of 20 things that happened to us. And all we're here doing is just showing you the pure amount of hypocrisy that's happening in this tech day and age, where Facebook and Google control 3/4 of what's online. So, very important topic that needs to be shared and understood.
And just so you know, Luke, your camera is dead. I think you're taking care of that right now. And while Luke takes care of his camera, I am going to read some more of these Super Chats. Guys, again, thank you so much for the Super Chats. Remember to subscribe, $4.99 a month. Also, get you heard in the audience. I saw a couple of you earlier. Who was in there? Argyle's in there sometimes. I know Avitas also gives Super Chats on top of...
big shouts out to Avitas and Jesse Schmidt for being a part of that.
So Ahmad Arandi says, it is scary how people fall for the media circus about beer and Kavanaugh. I have seen some pretty good Stone Cold Steve Austin, Brett Kavanaugh memes. I'm just going to say that. Nobody mentions he facilitated genocide and spying because liberal justices do the same. Correct. They're both pro-military industrial complex. And yes, they're pro-authoritarianism. And this is bad.
All
they're
a
not.
part of a discussion that never took place. The left never brought it up. The right never brought it up. And it wasn't even highlighted or anywhere on social media. I was talking about it, and everyone was just like, yeah, whatever. Doesn't matter. Our side needs to win. And it's just mind-boggling seeing all these MAGA people just let go of all of their principles because they want to win against the left so desperately that they don't care that Kavanugh, again, was a major proponent of the Bush administration that helped propel a lot of the worst acts that Bush committed, whether the Patriot Act, whether torture, whether banning international law, whether pushing for more war. That's what Kavanugh is. That's what he stands for. And with him being on the Supreme Court, this means less freedom for the American people.
Yes, and that is the truth, and that's something that was really never discussed. Instead, they tried to make it into a circus. Jesse Schmidt says, it's cool. Welcome to the dark side, Jason. He's talking about anarchism and no government. I'm not on that side, and thank you, Jesse, for implying that. Ahmad Arandi says, with all the empire crimes, MeToo is a red herring. And I would say, for the most part, MeToo is a red herring at this point. Unfortunately, even Rose McGowan is now saying the MeToo movement is blank shiz. She's calling it bull, guys. And remember, she's the one that was behind the MeToo movement. The sad thing is that a lot of these women that cried rape with Harvey Weinstein, knew they were trading sex for work. It is how Hollywood works. And that is not to say that he did not have his victims. You cannot just whip it out and start yanking it into a plant because you want to and say, oh, just let me finish. Like, that's crazy. He should be in prison for that alone.
Jason, just on that basic premise, it's still a sick aspect of society that does need to be addressed and does need to be fixed. That people are having sex with Jabba the Hutt, Weinstein, just to get a role. That shouldn't be happening. That's totally wrong. But he did more than just that. He was very aggressive with the way he abused his power as one of the top Hollywood moguls, who, by the way, was also very close with Hillary Clinton, showing more hypocrisy, and also helped produce Michael Moore's new film, Fahrenheit 11/9. Again, such layer of bullcrap and hypocrisy of all these people claiming the moral high ground, like we are better, we know what's right for you, you don't respect people. Look what the people around you are doing for the first place. Clean your house before you open your mouth, you goddamn hypocritical buttholes. Sorry, I can't curse. Buttholes is okay, right, Jason? I can say that.
I mean, if you want to say it, you say it. Whatever feels good, my man. That's all I can say.
All right, sorry. Go ahead. I cut you off. Sorry, Jason.
No, I'm just saying that, yes, Harvey Weinstein is a very bad man, but the Hollywood system is very bad. And even some of his rape accusers, now that they've gone through the emails, were having sex with him after he supposedly raped them. And the emails indicate, again, it's for parts. Oh, Harvey, I miss you, yada, yada, yada. The plastic people that are out for fame and fortune and willing to do anything to get it are more than you can ever imagine. And that is a very powerful thing, that deception and sex trading are at the top of the quote-unquote entertainment industry. So I think it's important people keep that in mind when you're watching your favorite show or your favorite movie or your favorite Netflix series, that where that may have been produced, as something you really enjoy and you love, people have done some pretty horrific things to get there, Luke.
Yeah, that's a good point. That definitely needs to be brought up, and people need to call out the hypocrisy. Michael Moore's film talked about the Me Too movement and all these white males committing all these sexual abuse things. You had Harvey Weinstein produce the movie, you damn hypocrite. Wake up to the reality. Stop living in the disillusionment that you're still trying to perpetrate out there, because it's all filled with fallacies and lies. This is why no one takes anyone seriously anymore. This is why you can't take anyone seriously anymore, because you could just look at their agenda. You could look at them being more interested in political power than actually dealing with the problem that they supposedly want to fix. They don't want to fix problems. They want to win. They want power. They want money. And that's an issue of our society that is being kept away from you, shadowed, censored. The mainstream media will never brought it up. We started bringing it up online, and then guess what? Oh, a lot of us are being censored. A lot of us are slowly being hit by the algorithm that's not allowing our voices to be heard anymore. What a surprise there. With the same people, with the same ties, with the same motivations, being a part of these tech media monopolies, all colluding together for, of course, their bigger power play that they're going after, which leads into the next super chat by Jesse Schmidt. And he asked, is there a coincidence between the banning of Alex Jones, etc., and the rise of anti-Semitism on YouTube that goes unchecked? Seems fishy for the trolls. I'm all for the free speech regardless of views. Now, Jesse, I agree with you. I'm totally in for the free speech, but there does need to be something said when throughout my entire career, I've done a lot of things. I've been in this game for like almost 15 years now. I've interviewed the top celebrities. I confronted the top politicians, whether it's a Rothschild, Kissinger, Bill Clinton, Hillary Clinton, Tony Blair. It doesn't matter. The top of the top, I confronted, I faced, I looked into, and I questioned. I've risked my life doing all these other things. I made the national news countless number of times. Whenever there's a major violent protest, I'm always there on the ground getting the craziest intense footage, whether it's Moldy Locks or whether what happened just in Portland. I'm always there on the ground. But when you YouTube my name, Luke Rudkowski, the first thing that comes up is a video talking about how I am a Zionist Jew Mossad agent, and they even photoshopped my nose to be bigger than it actually is, if that even was possible. And they ad-libbed me talking about how I'm a Jew shill. And yet I still get attacked by all these people. And again, this is what the YouTube algorithm puts out there whenever you look up my name. So there is something to say about that and the rise of just complete anti-Semitism, which is okay because that divide and conquers people. That makes people fight against each other. That makes people hate each other. Yeah, let's promote that. That's cool. That's fine. Luke Rudkowski, what is he known for? Oh, being a Jew Zionist shill. Yeah, that's the first thing that happens when you pop up my name in there. It's not a coincidence. It's done on purpose to make each other hate each other, to fight each other, to divide and conquer us, which is all along of the plan that they have for everyone. So, of course, when we're fighting each other and celebrating with beer, which has fluoride in it and calcifies our pineal gland and just is a horrible substance to drink, especially the beer here in the United States with the crap that they put in there, Budweiser, GMO, all that fake crap. Yeah, let's celebrate with beer. Yeah, we're cool. Yeah, we're dumbing ourselves down and killing our brain cells with the fluoride. Yeah. No, I'm sick of that. That's what they want. That's what they like. They're like, yeah, this is good. Let's give this some views. Let's put this up in the algorithm. Let's make sure that this content gets up there. And in large part, it's also done with humans incentivizing it. And also in large part, it's also done for more sinister means, in my opinion. But that's just how I see it. Agree or disagree, Jason? Are you a beer drinker?
Thing, everything with the beer thing. Hey,
I knew you were a beer drinker.
I might want a little brewski and hutch, my friend. That's all I'm saying.
I'm a whiskey guy once in a month or like once in a blue moon. If I drink, it's only whiskey. But beer, really, Jason?
Yeah, really. Yeah, I ran a bar for quite some time. I was actually considering maybe going to have a brewski and hutch after this, my friend. Just me.
Most beers taste like either like dishwasher soap or like just Budweiser would just be like piss water.
This one's going down as the one where Luke Rudkowski was wrong 90% of the time.
I don't agree. What do people in the chat room think? Are you a beer or a whiskey person?
Yeah, you're gonna have some of Connor's Proper 12 whiskey, whatever. Give me a break, Connor. How about we just get into this next story because it's pretty crazy and it is about control.
All right, before the next story, we've got another super chat by Edmund Orandi who says all sides have been reactionaries. It is so grim. I agree, Edmund, on the reactionary part. It doesn't have to be grim. Don't give up hope. We're still optimistic. We're still fighting here because we believe in this. Go ahead. Next story, Jason.
Yeah, this one's crazy. Standing Rock activist faces prison time after an officer shot him in the face, more specifically the eye. If you want to look at this, folks, let's zoom right in. You can tell one of those is actually a glass eye now with a beanbag, one of those less lethal munitions. Took out his eyeball, and now he might go to jail for it. He's a protester. And they're charging him, I believe, with assault on a police officer. Completely insane. What's that?
Did he commit assault?
I don't believe he did. I believe he was in the crowd when this happened.
He's being charged with trespassing.
Oh, that's what it is. Trespassing. I apologize.
Yeah. So, yeah, obviously, just insane story. Just shows you how far authority goes, how far, Jason, government goes when it's unchecked and allowed to have control and power over other people's lives. So another argument here against big government and big totalitarian police states pretty much acting like mafiosos, hurting you and then charging you after they hurt you and make you blind in one eye and remove your eyeball by shooting a beanbag in it. So yeah. Also, Jesse Schmidt left a $2 super chat. Thank you so much, Jesse, for all your support. It really means a lot to us. And he says, I'm with Jason. I love beer, but it makes me sick. Yeah, beer makes you sick. Beer's promoted
whiskey,
out there.
Well, yeah, you can just drink a whole bottle of it, Luke. It'll never get you sick. What are you talking about,
There's
man?
some medical benefits to whiskey.
Oh, yeah, there are? When you need surgery?
It used to treat a lot of people back in the old times who were dealing with stuff. And yeah,
I like some whiskey, Luke.
Whiskey.
I wasn't fighting you on the whiskey, just the crappy Conor McGregor whiskey.
Alcohol is poison in general, but if you're gonna do something, definitely do just a little bit of the maybe whiskey, tequila, a little pisco. Pisco is really amazing. Not a lot of people know what pisco is. Really awesome, amazing drink from South America. And what's the agave one? The agave made tequila. You don't know that one?
Yeah, I do.
What is it called?
Garbage. What is it, the Crystal Skull one?
Mezcal. No, Mezcal. If we're talking about drinks here, Pisco #1, tequila whiskey close to, and then Mezcal. Really good stuff that I enjoy once in a blue moon. I'm not a big drinker. Definitely not a big beer drinker at all. Don't touch the beer. Laundry detergent. Crap. But, okay, moving forward with more stories that prove that government shouldn't exist.
I guess so. This one was just incredible because Trump tweeted out that George Soros was behind some of these protesters that were assaulting, the right-leaners like Lindsey Graham and Mitch McConnell and chasing them down, saying they were Soros-funded. And, of course, the mainstream media said, look, Trump is an anti-Semite. Now, in the tweet, I want to read it word for word. You can tell me what you think is anti-Semitic about this, but it's kind of ridiculous. The very rude elevator screamers are paid professionals, only looking to make senators look bad. Don't fall for it. Also, look at all the professionally made identical signs, paid for by Soros and others. These are not signs made in the basement from Lovell. Hashtag troublemakers. Now, I don't know about you, but I didn't hear anything in that tweet about being anti-Semitic or insinuating anti-Semitism. I'm not saying he's right. I don't know that the protesters were Soros-funded, but the bottom line is the media running with this story, first of all, proves that they don't like Trump and that they will say anything in many regards. And two, Trump has given everything to Israel. Everything. He's made Jerusalem the capital. He'll bomb Syria all the time. He's taken any kind of negotiations with Iran off the table. He's literally been called by Benjamin Netanyahu, a man who has been around for decades, as the closest president he's ever had in office. They hug, they kiss. Jared Kushner is his best friend. This president is as pro-Israel as possible, yet the media is trying to portray him as anti-Semitic because of an anti-Soros tweet. Thoughts, Luke?
Well, think progress. I believe they even receive money from the Open Society, which is, of course, George Soros's organization. And you do have to understand, George Soros is a prominent person on the left who does finance a lot of left-wing ideologies and organizations out there. So him being one of the richest people out there, it makes sense that there should be some concern and some questionings here. Soros is really more of a globalist, and he's using the left-wing kind of liberal ideology to promote more kind of globalism that works out in more benefit to him and his business, more neoliberal kind of than anything else. And again, I don't see anything anti-Semitic about this tweet at all, and it doesn't surprise me that this is the attack point that they're using to go after Donald Trump, because they use it on a lot of people. Who's ever critical of either the government of Israel or George Soros himself, automatically you're being labeled as an anti-Semite, even though you're not. And Donald Trump, again, just like you brought up, one of the biggest pro-Israel presidents that there ever was in the United States history. openly the first one to declare Jerusalem a capital, openly standing behind Israel, especially with their policy against Iran and Syria, giving them more aid. There's even more money on top of the billions of dollars that already is sent from U.S. taxpayers to Israel that is now even expanding to even larger numbers under Donald Trump as he's taking away money from Palestine. So definitely not anti-Semitic at all.
Which by the way, John Bolton won't even say is a state anymore. He wouldn't even refer to Palestine as a state this week. Did a video on that in the backup channel. It's just incredible, Luke.
Yeah. I talked about that as well, and it's incredible to see John Bolton say that. Should we get to the next story, or should we get to some of the super chats? You decide, Jason.
Let's do the next story because it's probably like the biggest one out there. And what do we got? I guess let's just.
Well, let's just run through this. Let's just run through this and then open up discussion about alcohol and Khabib again, and maybe even let's try to take a phone call if it works. Technically, we'll see.
I don't know how we're gonna do that, but let's see. So
did you set up a Google
number?
No,
not at that time. I have one Google number. I'm not gonna give it out right now. God forbid. It's actually attached to my phone.
Why?
No.
Can people find out if it's attached
We'll get
to your
a
phone?
Google number up next week. I promise everybody.
We want to take phone calls from you guys. I think this is going to be a very entertaining next addition to our live shows. I very much look forward to hearing your guys' voices and engaging with you through the phone calls. So yeah, let's just run through these stories and then argue more about liquor and Khabib.
Yeah, sounds good. So Kavanugh gets in. This is the Saturday story. He did it. Like I said, it was a party. And they confirmed him. He's been sworn in. It looks like this is really going to happen. However, we do have, who is it? Swordley on the Democratic side saying that if they get the House, he's going to open another FBI investigation into Kavanaugh to try to take him out. This is how far they've gone. And they might get it. I mean, we're into almost year 2 of Russiagate.
He already went through a number of FBI investigations, and he's always been cleared. But yet again, FBI is also a very political organization. The FBI found Hillary Clinton not guilty of obvious crimes that she was guilty of. There's so much corruption among Hillary Clinton. The FBI investigated her. Couldn't find anything. You think they're going to find something on Kavanaugh? Highly doubt it. This is already the third time, I believe the third time, that this investigation is happening on him.
Well, they had 6 background checks, and they just did another FBI investigation. You could count that as the 7th background check or whatever you want to call it. But yeah, I don't see it going anywhere. But then again, you never know. The Russia thing is complete imagination land. And even Lindsey Graham, who I don't like, he was talking about how he has refused to go along with McCarthyism because he was one of those never Trump Republican guys. And I don't like Lindsey Graham. I don't like Brett Kavanaugh. But they're right. This is modern day McCarthyism. And we saw them try to play the sex abuse card with Kavanaugh in that same respect to incite the mob, Luke. So who knows? They might get their investigation if the Democrats win the House. I could see it absolutely happening.
Well, we'll see. I mean, I highly doubt anything's going to happen to Brett Kavanaugh now. He's only going to become more radicalized because of everything he had to go through. And it was all political theater that happened and continued even to his confirmation with many people saying there's going to be riots, there's going to be fires everywhere in Washington, D.C. One of my other friends who's a YouTuber and journalist, he's like, we got to go. And I'm like, no, I don't see anything happening. And then literally one woman just banged her fist against the Supreme Court door, and an old guy had his signs knocked down temporarily by one of the leftist protesters. That's what I saw. So again, also a lot of fear-mongering of a civil war and riots that, of course, never happened. There were conflicts in New England, which were, again, with less people, but also very fierce fighting going on there between Antifa and the Proud Boys. That's also being kind of underplayed and not really talked about. All right, let's finish off the stories here, and let's just go into your last one and then forget the other ones that I suggested.
Okay, sounds good. So, yeah, Dennis Hoff, the owner of all those brothels in Nevada, he had the reality show on HBO. He just recently turned into a politician. Well, turns out he's been investigated. Now, whether this is politically motivated, Luke, we don't know. It's been a 4-month investigation. May have been around the time he was thinking about getting into politics. But immigration violations, human trafficking, it obviously in that business, I would think it'd be hard not to do some of those things. I mean, as much as we want to sugarcoat it, the sex industry is a pretty dirty one in many respects.
It's a messy one.
And
by the way, that sex doll brothel in Houston was thrown out by your best friend, the government. Sorry.
Yes, it was. Woo! There's a win for humanity. Hey, no robot brothel in the United States yet, cowboy. Sorry.
That's only gonna incentivize people. You don't know how human psychology works, Jason. That's only gonna make people want to have sex with robots even more.
If human beings want to do that,
there's gonna be underground illegal sex robot places that people are gonna have to go behind the government's back and do their stuff with the robots.
Luke, how dare you? That's
going to happen. It's going to happen.
Listen, the worst is probably inevitable, but I just want to get into this a little bit more and say, look, there's a good chance that Hoff is guilty of these crimes, but there's also a good chance that because he got into politics, this investigation started in the first place, Luke. And it shows you what a dirty and filthy business both of these things are and how they are very much entwined with one another, whether we want to admit that or not.
Wasn't he like a libertarian kind of candidate calling for legalization of pretty much almost everything? That's a massive.
He's your kind of dude, buddy. He's your dude. He's as close as it gets. Yes, he's your guy. Absolutely. He's as libertarian.
Thank you, Jason, for linking me with someone who's being accused of human trafficking.
That's not my point.
Really appreciate the link there.
Oh boy, we already know that Nevada is a pretty libertarian state anyway. So it makes sense.
Marijuana is legal there. That's been a
gambling,
huge
obviously, brothels. Nevada is one of those states. So I'm just saying, whether this derails his political career or not, I doubt it. Because again, they are so intertwined, and he does have a lot of powerful backers because he is a high-level what? Pimp. Again, we can sugarcoat it any way we want, but this is a high-level.
Just like the government officials. I would say government officials, bureaucrats are just pimps as well.
Okay.
That's the argument I would make.
Okay.
They pretty much are pimps. I'm actually thinking about moving down to Nevada myself. Josh Sigerson is moving down there. He actually invited me to come live there. I'm actually thinking about it. The taxes are also very low. The weather is a lot nicer than it is here in New York City. So that's also some of the things that are going just behind the scenes. Anything else you want to say about this reality TV star turned Republican candidate who's being investigated now for human trafficking, Jason?
No, I just want to say this is the best we have to offer, folks, are high-level pimps in our politics, and they have the kind of politics that a Luke Radowski loves. Anyway.
if he would run, if this reality star person would run, being the pimp that he is, he's probably a lot cleaner than all the other politicians. This pimp is probably has a better moral code than half of the politicians that are in office right now, technically speaking. I'll bet that. But we'll see how this investigation turns out for him and what he is guilty of, what he is accused of, and what the truth behind this matter is, since it's still very early on in what they're going after him about.
Sounds good to me. You want to hit these super chats, my man?
Yeah. Let's do it. We got one by Edmund Orandi, who says, whiskey, anarcho, wait, hold on, just moved up. Syndicalists, not champagne liberals. Yeah, I agree, Edmund, on that. Yeah, whiskey, anarcho. How do you say that word, Jason?
Syndicalists? That's about as close. Yeah, that's about as good as I can get it.
I'm Googling that.
I don't think it's a real word.
It's a radical current in the labor movement. What? Syndicism? All right, you want to get the next one? I'm going to look up this definition.
Yeah, let's do it. Jesse Smith. Franziskaner Weisselber. Best beer there is. I'll have to check that out. I drink Dutch vodka. Ooh, sometimes to keep from getting sick. We had a raspberry Dutch vodka at my establishment, the Effin' Raspberry, for quite some time. Got to tell you, I'm more of a American whiskey and bourbon drinking man, but I don't mind a tequila every now and then. And
not a vodka person either. Definitely more pisco.
Really? Being Vladimir's son turned you off to the vodka poot poot?
being Polish and Poland inventing vodka, for some reason it just doesn't. I don't know. It doesn't treat me right. It doesn't taste right. I don't like it. But Poland did invent vodka. It wasn't Russia. It was Poland, by the way. My homeland, just to clarify.
Well, Ahmad Orandi, again, thank you so much for joining the conversation today. Soros, the Young Turks, Warren, are not left. Just use the label. I can't really disagree. You know, Jimmy Dore, I really respect, and he still identifies kind of as this leftist progressive. Don't agree with him all the time, but I think he's a pretty brilliant and funny guy. I think he does good work. And then we have one more super chat from Mondo Gonzo. Love the name Mondo. For $10. Thank you, Mondo. We really do appreciate it. Luke?
Yeah. I mean, I got nothing else to say unless I'm looking at the comment section right now, seeing what people have to say here who are our subscribers first. Other than that, I think we had a pretty good broadcast. I think everyone's going to go watch The Walking Dead now. That's premiering tonight as well. I'm kind of excited about that, to be honest. Okay, we got another one by Jesse Smith saying, Jason, to celebrate your anarchist Christmas miracle, I will buy you a bottle of Proper 12 to celebrate the holidays.
And that proper of bottle, listen, guys, just so you know, even though I like beer and I go out and I've run a bar, I literally had my Secret Santa gift from 4 years ago up into my freezer up until 3 weeks ago when I went to a wedding and my buddies dropped me off and they didn't have any liquor at home and they were shut, where I went and got 3/4 of that bottle and handed it back. Don't drink at home. I've got 2 full bottles of liquor in there. I'm not a big lover of the alcohol except for in bars and social situations, but I do like a good bar. I like to hang out with my friends and have a good brewski and hutch. Brewery Omegang is here. If you don't know what Brewery Omegang is, they make some great stuff. Rare Voss.
No idea what that is.
Yeah, it's called some of the best beer in the
It's
world.
another fluoride calcifying pineal gland company that promotes beer.
It's actually owned by Duvel at this point, but it was originally an Oneana brand, and there are actually many people who know about Brewery Omegang and love it, Luke. How dare you?
Zach Petty actually said raw cannabis provides a full nutritional diet. There are a lot of medical benefits to cannabis. Personally, I don't partake in cannabis. It doesn't even treat me right. It has different effects on different people. What about you, Jason?
I love the marijuana. I think it should be decriminalized across the board. I think there are many medical benefits, but at the same time, as a recreational drug, it is certainly one of my choice over alcohol, Luke Rudowski.
Not a user, but definitely should be decriminalized, like robot sex. Because prohibition does not work. The more you try to ban people from having something that they want, the more that they will be able to get it and actually psychologically want it even more. That's why government's bad, and that's why they even poison people during prohibition in this country. Literally, the government put poison in a lot of the bootleg alcohol that was out there to kill people to help push their propaganda. That's how far the government's willing to go, Jason. That's how far they're willing to go to have their control. You want to drink? Back in the day, the government would arrest you for it. Utterly insane. Another super chat by Patrick Segan saying Happy Thanksgiving from Canada. Is it Happy Thanksgiving Day in Canada?
Apparently, I don't know. I'm not Canadian.
Canadians have their own Thanksgiving. I know that. But
yeah.
Do they just sit around at the table and just say sorry to each other? Is that what happens?
You've been watching too much South Park, friend. Oh, man.
That was a good episode. South Park also came out with a new episode a couple days ago, making fun of Black Panther, which I agreed. I thought they made a very great point, very nuanced point about Black Panther. Again, comedy is pretty much social commentary that people are afraid to say. And I think South Park definitely did a great job talking about how Black Panther really wasn't that great of a film. And I agree with them. Yeah. Do you love it?
It wasn't one of my favorites. I thought it was kind of overrated, I'll be honest. It's one of the very few Marvel
Definitely overrated.
movies.
And South Park hit the nail on the head because everyone in the public culture was glorifying and saying it was the best thing ever. It was okay. It was all right.
Yeah, it was
all right. Good.
Yeah, it was all right.
Yeah, they came back to that one. They weren't airing their episodes, but they came back with a good one, with a solid one. I definitely enjoy Cartman. Cartman is I would say part of my spirit animal. Definitely enjoy watching that show. Yeah, tomorrow it's actually Canadian Thanksgiving, Monday, October 8th. That's interesting. We got more super chats along the way before we end it off here. You want to go through them, Jason?
Yeah, let's do the one. What do we got? Jeez, here we go. Good choice on cannabis over alcohol, Jason. Hashtag anarchist Christmas. And then Zach Petty says raw cannabis is not psychoactive. So I guess that would be more of a CBD strain. There's a lot of that going around these days.
I never heard of raw cannabis. I don't know what raw cannabis is. I'm going to look in the regular chat. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead, Jason.
No, I'm just saying that there are a lot more of the oil pens that are just CBD that I'm seeing. Friends that have pain, that have never smoked weed in their lives, that don't want the psychoactive effects, and they're doing it for joint pain and back pain. It's working for them.
Yeah. So, well, I'm doing CBDs. I have CBD here. I have a very concentrated gel tablet, and then I also have a droplet form. CBD has been incredible for me. So every day I take CBD, and I have noticed a lot of amazing effects. And a lot less pain and a lot less inflammation that my body is used to going through. Again, my 20s were extremely turbulent, sleeping on floors, couches, running around, crazy riots everywhere, not taking care of myself. I'm definitely dealing with that now, dealing with a lot of physical trauma that I went through throughout my entire life. But CBD has been amazing, has been extremely wonderful. My friend gave me some New Leaf CBD. My friend Ryan sent me some of this. May be doing some work with them later on, but no, we can't even talk about CBD on YouTube. YouTube blocks and deletes your channel and your video if you talk about CBD or promote CBD. So we're not doctors. We don't know what we're talking about. We hear CBD is good. That's all we know, but we're not medical professionals. Do we need to say anything else? I
don't know. I didn't promote it quite as hardcore as you did. I just said that I enjoyed it and that my friends were taking it for pain and other things. So I was just stating some facts, YouTube. If you want to demonetize us due to facts that we're talking about.
It's not just demonetized. They delete videos now that sell CBD. There was a number of people who were sponsored by CBD companies, and they had advertisements of CBD in their YouTube channel, and they were taken down. They were deleted. And the channel was threatened with just complete deletion by YouTube for violating their terms and services, even though you're talking about CBD, which is not a psychoactive chemical, but a medical chemical that has, according to some people, profound medical benefits, according to them. Again, not a doctor. Don't take my medical advice from a YouTube channel. And I'm looking at eating raw cannabis. Zach brought up raw cannabis. There's actually a movement of people who are just eating weed, buds and plants, and they're using it as a diet. Some people are juicing it, but some people are just taking the bud and just eating bud. I'm reading on this right now on a website, which sounds pretty interesting. And it doesn't get you psychoactive. It doesn't get you high. I would think it would get you high.
I think if there's THC in it, it would definitely, if you ingest it, get high. But perhaps they're breeding it without that. I have no idea.
Yeah, people are saying in the chat rooms here, smoke crack.
Oh, that's nice.
The chat rooms are definitely lighting up here. Definitely appreciate all the interesting lingo happening on there. One last one by Jesse Smith saying, thanks, guys, for the live stream, info, and entertainment. Enjoy your week. Thank you, Jesse. Thank you, everyone else who participated in this broadcast, who shared this with your friends and family members. We appreciate you guys more than ever. If it wasn't for you guys, we wouldn't be here. We're going to be doing a lot of different type of work. I pretty much have shot myself in the foot, so we're going to transition away from YouTube shortly and still provide a different kind of service and still continue to provide YouTube videos once in a blue moon, but we're going to be switching things up, so definitely stay tuned for a lot of exciting developments that we're working on and developing here. Jason, do you have anything else to say?
No, I just want to let everybody know to subscribe to the backup channel, hit those notifications. That's the Pulse Change channel, and to be the change they want to see in the world, Luke.
Thank you guys again so much for watching. Love you guys. Stay tuned for more every Sunday, 7 p.m. Eastern. We are here.